Alright, it's on.
Alrighty.
What do you want?
So, on our drive here, we got some more stuff to talk about.
Okay.
Now, I have a question for you, Buddy.
Okay.
I would like to know your feelings of the actual day of the event of the Bob Saget show, which was at Extreme Collision 2, right?
Yeah, I think that's what we dubbed it.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. So, the day of the filming.
Okay.
And, meeting Bob Saget, all that fun shit. And after watching it on TV.
Okay, so during and post, huh?
Yes.
Alright, going into the show, physically I was messed up. It was March 21st, 2010. It was 2010, right?
Yes.
Yes. So it was March 21st, 2010. Just a week prior to that, March 13th, we ran our Event Alpha 4 show. When we originally scheduled the Bob Saget taping or whatever, and we got approached by it to do the Strange Day show, we wanted to do the Saget show before we did Event Alpha. Like, that, I was pushing for that because Event Alpha was our big show. Like, we rented out this hall. All the stores were coming together. It was going to be our final hoorah, the last goodbye. Like, that was supposed to be it. And with their dates and their filming and stuff like that, like, we just weren't able to squeeze it in. So we had to do it the weekend after. So I was already pissed off at the fact of, like, I wanted Event Alpha 4 to be it. Like, that's what I wanted to be.
That was supposed to be our kill.
Yeah, that was supposed to be, like, the end all. Like, okay, we did this. Like, that's how we go out and say goodbye.
Because we did it great.
Yeah, because like we knew it was gonna be a good show. We knew we had a lot of people there. So like leading up into it, I was just kind of like, I'm not really excited about it. Like, it was cool to do a TV taping. Like, I mean, we were just a bunch of kids in the backyard, like, for 10 years, and we were like, hey, be on TV. Okay, cool. Hey, be on TV. Okay, cool. Like, sure, we'll do it. So, like, I was kind of frustrated about that part. And then I had wrestled in Oregon City, Oregon, March 7th. The next weekend we did Event Alpha 4, and then we were leading into the following weekend, which was going to be the Saget show. So my body was a little banged up and bruised, and I was tired, and I was...
Little.
Yeah. I was pretty messed up. So, me and A-Rock were going to have a match, and I told him, I was like, look, my body's pretty jacked up. Like, my back doesn't really want to move that much, and I don't want to bump a lot. And I was like, I don't want to do anything hardcore, because the week before, me and Mike beat the living shit out of each other with everything: trash cans and ladders and chairs and the ring and the floor and
hardwood floor.
Yeah, everything. We just beat the living crap out of each other, and my body was hurting bad. So I told A-Rock, I was like, look, I don't want to do anything crazy. One, because my body's hurting. Two, because every other match was going to be a stipulated match with some type of, like, extreme rules or hardcore or anything like that. So I was like, we got to make our shit different. Like, we'll make up for it because me and A-Rock have got good chemistry, and we always have in the ring. So we're able to pull off a bunch of cool stuff and fancy and flips and smooth flowing stuff. But, like, inside I knew that was going to hurt our chance at TV time, you know, like, because they're going to want backyard wrestling, so they're going to want the crazy, stupid shit, and, like, we had told them off the bat, look, we do a little bit risky stuff, but, like, if you want barbed wire, light tubes, or fire, you got to go somewhere else. Like, that's not us, it never has been. Like, we won't change who we are for a TV camera.
We're semi-pro, damn it.
Yeah, like, yeah, we are semi-pro wrestling, like, but yeah, so, like, leading into it, the day of the show was just, I wasn't happy. Like, I didn't even want to do the show at all, to be honest with you. Like, my girlfriend at the time, we got into an argument about, like, the show and getting together and just, like, the stress of doing it all. And, like, I didn't want that to be the last show and stuff like that, but I was just like, okay, well, God, if I don't show up, then, like, who's A-Rock gonna wrestle? Like, the ring was already there. We set that up, the day before?
Day before.
It was, like, the day before we set the ring up, and I was like, they've got, like, the music there and everything like that, so they can handle everything themselves if they want to do it. but I was just kind of like, I don't know. I went because, one, I didn't want to let A-Rock down, and I knew that, like, we were both excited to face each other one last time. And, like, I didn't want to not show up and all the guys be like, where the fuck is Sean? Because, like, NOW was my baby, so it kind of just would have been stupid if I didn't show up, but I was just in a pissy-ass mood. But then, like, once we got there, the camera crew showed up late. I think we were supposed to be there at 10.
God, they showed up really late. I think, like, almost 2 hours late.
Yeah, it was like an hour or two later, which pushed our show back, because, like, yeah, I think it was, like, we were told to be there at 10. They showed up at, like, noon, and then they wanted to walk through and set up cameras, and that took forever, and they pulled up in, like, 8 different vans, and
they brought the food early.
Yeah, like, brought everything, and, like, it was pretty stressful for the fact of, like, they seemed slightly unorganized. But, like, once things got going, like, Bob had walked out, and I was outside, like, in the front of the house, and, like, the producer was like, oh, this is Sean, blah, 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 and, like, he was really cool, and I'd heard some negative things about, like, Saget, about him being, like, a germaphobe, and he's kind of like a fucking diva, and, like, he doesn't really want to talk to people and stuff like that, but, like, he walked up and he shook my hand, and, like, he seemed cool or whatever, and, like, even, like, when everyone had started to show up, he was in a van, like, in the driveway, like...
You know what he was doing.
Yeah. So he was in a van in the driveway, and, like, my family had walked up, like, my mom and my sister and my grandma and my grandfather, like, my grandparents have never, in, like, person seen me wrestle. So I was like, that's cool that they're here. Like, I got them to come. I was like, look, it's my last time, like, wrestling in the backyard, and Bob Saget's gonna be there, like, come. And so as I was walking up, I was like, oh, Bob, like, do you mind meeting, like, my family, like, my mom and stuff like that? And he was, like, totally cool. He was like, yeah, sure, like, I can go ahead and do that.
I was actually surprised how cool he was.
Yeah, he was really cool. So, like, he got out, and, like, he shook hands and shit, and kissed babies and all that stuff, and there's a cop up there, so I just see flashing.
Ah, so this is where looky-loos.
Yeah. So, yeah. So it went through.
We should actually probably kill the lights.
Okay. Well, pause then. No, fuck it. I'll sum it up real quick.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Or maybe, fuck it. Let's just go through. Who cares? What are they gonna say?
Yeah. Oh, you gotta turn your lights off.
Okay.
So,
I'm gonna get over because I think they're in the lane.
Oh, I think they're on the side left or whatever. So he went through, he, like, met everyone, and then he came back, and, like, he met the whole crew, like, the new Omega crew. He was really nice. He was funny, dirty as hell, but, like, he was a funny dude. But, like, he just seemed to just be enjoying his time and stuff like that, and it was cool because after my match with A-Rock, he had come back, like, behind our curtain, and he was like, oh man, that was awesome, and, like, there's footage out there, which I don't think I've ever posted up, but there's footage of him, like, walking up, which we weren't supposed to tape him. That was the thing. Like, we had to basically beg for us to be able to film our own show, and they're like, okay, well, you just can't film Bob Saget, because they didn't want it to leak, like, out and stuff like that. And then they told us, like, 1 guest per wrestler.
Yeah.
So there's like 10 wrestlers, and so they only wanted 10 people in the crowd. Well, it was our last show. We're not going to do shit for 10 people sitting in the crowd. Like, it may sound like, I mean, we love what we do,
yeah,
but we'll step up our game if there's a lot of people. So I think we ended up having like 50-something people.
I think we had like 65.
So, okay, like 65. I didn't do a head count. That was like the only show I didn't head count on. But it was like 65 people, which was a pretty good turnout for not being able to promote. We didn't do any promoting. We didn't say it was here, it was there, it was this date. It was just kind of like we sent out text messages, and whoever showed up, showed up. But the taping was fun, and like Saget was really cool. Seemed like all the guys, like, that was the first show, which I don't know if you'll agree. That was the first show stress-free.
Oh yeah, I was careless completely. I cared about nothing that show. I did what I wanted to do, because I mean, I don't even count that as our last show. I count our last show is Event Alpha 4.
It was almost like a practice.
Yeah, I mean, it was just like, we're fucking around, like, we're just having fun. That's how I saw it. I mean, it was like almost back to the HBW days, when we just do our own thing, we didn't stress about anything, and we just had fun.
Yeah, I mean, like, we got... there's a video, like, kind of behind the scenes of, like, all of us and stuff like that, and we're all smiling and laughing and having a good time, and, like, during, like, the real NOW show days, everybody was stressed. Everybody's
out.
focused. Like,
walking around all
like
fucking
everyone's joking
blurry.
and having a good time, but it's just kind of like, oh, we got to go over a match. We got to think about this and blah, blah, blah. Like, during the Saget show, everyone was smiling, and we knew that was it. We had already done our last show. We were just putting this on for the camera and for our friends and stuff. And then seeing it on TV, we actually got a lot more time than I expected that we would have. Like, I think we got like 7 minutes worth of TV time. He made some jokes at us and stuff like that. He spelled my name wrong, which I'm not blaming him. Post-production people. He spelled my name wrong, and he got our announcer's name wrong.
Which that was funny.
Yeah, Susie, that's good shit. So we got a lot of time, and it was cool because not only were we on TV, on nationally televised television, I mean, we got people from the East Coast that were talking about us.
Oh, yeah, didn't that one podcast, right?
And then there's a professional wrestling podcast. I don't remember who it is now. I've got it saved on my computer. There's a podcast that talked about us, and it was like they reviewed WWE and TNA and all that
wrestling
stuff.
podcast.
Yeah, I think it was on the Figure 4 website.
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
It was a big podcast or whatever. It's two dudes talking. They're like, yeah, there was some backyard fed called New Omega. Like, I think that's Matt Hardy's like fed or whatever.
Yeah.
And like he was like, oh well, they're backyarders, so they're dumb, but they were pretty good. Like, they had a ring, and like, so he like tried to talk shit about us because we were backyarders, but because like
That was the only bad thing he could say.
yeah, exactly. So it was just like, he was just like, oh, they're backyarders, so they're dumb, but they were pretty good, and they had a look and stuff like that. And we got a lot of feedback. I mean, we typed in like a couple days after that aired. You go on Google, type in New Omega Wrestling, and we were up on like all these message boards and like just all this stuff with our name plastered. And Mike and El Flamo and Bob Saget got in
People Magazine.
Yeah, it was People Magazine we got into. So it was just like, which was taken during my match. My ass is in that picture.
Yep.
I'm in the ring. So my ass made People Magazine.
Yeah.
I'm going to tweet that right now. Oh, God. He's going to kill us.
Yeah, I don't have a horn, so.
So up this up, and then in the next entry, we'll get Mike's thoughts on the Saget show. Overall, it was good. It was a fun experience. It was fun to talk about. So it was just good, man. Overall, it was good. Stressful. I didn't want to do it. I was kind of pissed off, like the date and everything like that. But it was absolutely worth it. Just the perks of being able to tell my son when he gets a little bit older, hey, I was on TV, and like, it's a good conversation starter. So yeah, that's my thought. Overall, I give it 2 thumbs up. But my other hand's holding the camera, so you just got to pretend that I'm holding 2 thumbs. There you go. Woo! So, yeah, stay tuned whenever we decide to post this next video. We're going to get Mike's thoughts on everything. So, yeah, check it out. I still think it's on, if you haven't seen it, aetv.com.
Yeah.
I think it's aetv.com. It's the A&E channel. Click on Bob Saget. You can actually watch the episode that we're on. So, yeah, go and check that out. And Mike's up next.